Let's get a word on this. Zoë Strimpel from the Spectator and the Sunday Telegraph joining us. Zoe, good afternoon to you. We knew there was a big moment when, of course, Trump gives a press conference. Everybody listens because you don't know what the heck you're going to get. And there it was with Netanyahu yesterday announcing that they've got a plan. How is this different from how you can see it, Zoe, to any other plan that's gone before it?
Well, I think this plan is obviously different because it has the backing of, countries that are pretty friendly towards Hamas, like Turkey and Qatar, and that's and Egypt, which hates, which is not sort of as in bed with them at all. But Turkey, to get Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar on board as backing is major, and I think that's the thing that kind of sets this one apart because it piles a different kind of pressure on Hamas. Now, this deal, I suppose what's interesting about it is the way it offers amnesty to, like in denazification, if they kind of join the right side, they kind of survive and can prosper. It sounds like, any other Hamas member, will get safe passage to a third country. So it's less kind of fire and brimstone than it could be. And that's probably why it's going to work. And I think the thing is, it's about time having passed. It's about Netanyahu having played something of a long game, even though it's made him so unpopular and it's ostracized Israel so much and everybody's, gone in the other direction completely. But there is now at this point where finishing off the job militarily, everyone knows how painful that would be because we've seen it for 2 years, what it looks like. And that's the kind of mandate that, given that there's a high quality deal that seems to make sense and that plays on the fact that we're 2 years in. If Hamas rejects this, which everyone, normal people, I think, would expect them to do, then that it's about that mandate. And Israel has shown under Netanyahu, at great cost, how committed it is to dismantling Hamas. And I remember when I was there right after October 7th, even young peaceniks who had been at the Nova Festival or kind of former lefties said they were just kind of like, we're erasing Hamas. That's what we're doing now. We're going to erase them. And that was the sort of sentiment. Yeah. And I think that's kind of because of the tragedy of the hostage situation and the kind of nightmarish sadism of the way Hamas has used those hostages and the uncertainty around them. That message got a little bit more complicated as time went on, but I think it's back again. As Netanyahu said, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Sure. So, it just comes down to whether, Hamas, the bestiality of that group and the sheer cunning, who knows if, none of this stuff might appeal to them, but some of them might be self-interested enough to want to survive.
And of course, if it doesn't appeal to them, all hell could be unleashed, of course, on that region. We know that much. But perhaps with the help of a former prime minister of this country, that can all be avoided because it seems that Tony Blair is joining Team Trump on this one.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Tone ever since he went big on the Iraq War, which I know makes me literally the only person in the country who would say that. But I like someone who, takes a moral stance and isn't afraid to wade in and go to war if need be to defend, very important things. So I think Blair has the chops to do this. He's a very intelligent man and very experienced, and I think his heart is in the right place and it has been for a really long time. So I think, that's just like Blair, teamed up with Bush. Remember at the time, W was kind of like beyond the pale. And then next thing you know, you've got Blair, Bush, Sharon, Ariel Sharon kind of teaming up. So this feels like another example of Blair transcending tribalism of politics and actually going with what he thinks could actually, obviously be his legacy. That would be his dream, but also kind of doing the right thing. And I think it's a funny thing that Trump, I'm no Trump fan, as my readers know. And I think, it's a shame what he's done with Russia and Ukraine and allowing it to go on and on and on. But I think in this case, it's just possible that Trump was the right person, the right president for this exact mess, and that Netanyahu got his guy, and that this is all going to work out. It's possible, and Blair would be. I'd love to be ruled. I mean, bring back Blair. Yeah. I mean, and I like the idea that kind of idea of turning Gaza into a sort of enterprise zone, as it were, like with,
Well, stranger things have happened, of course. We will watch with interest. Zoe, I have to step in there just for time, but thank you for your time. As ever, great observational stuff. Zoë Strimpel, Spectator and Sunday Telegraph columnist. And as we discover, they're not everybody's cup of tea. And a departure for someone like Zoe. She quite likes Tony Blair. Let's speak to a man now who I'm sure also likes Tony Blair, despite being a spokesman for Gordon Brown when he was at number 10. Lord Walney joins us from Liverpool, from the Labour Party conference. John, good afternoon to you, sir.
Hi, Ian.
Nice to have you. I won't ask you about Tony Blair. Let's move on from that. Let's talk about Keir Starmer, of course.
I do indeed. I'm a big fan.
I'm glad to hear that. Keir Starmer, of course, big speech in less than half an hour. He's up against it here, isn't he? Because he's, here he is trying, obviously, as any leader does, to unite a party. He's only been there just over a year, of course. That makes this a little unusual in many respects, that he's fighting on that particular stump at the moment, but also to try and appeal to the wider country. And he's not even arguing against Tories anymore. He's arguing against Reform UK. So he's got this three-pronged attack that he's got to try and settle. Can he do it?
Yeah, this is an extraordinary, almost unprecedented situation. And I think probably the truth is, Ian, that there is not a great deal that Keir Starmer can say right in this speech. There's probably a lot that he can say wrong, but I think he and the team around him knows that probably the British public are not going to properly tune in and listen until they see some real results on the two key priorities. One of stopping the boats and dealing with the current enormous dissatisfaction in towns and cities across the country. And two, in just the basics of getting the economy growing again and getting more money in people's pockets. And so, he's got to be clear with the Hall, with the public today, that those are his priorities. But frankly, whatever he says is not going to really hit home until people actually see results on that now. So low is their faith in, well, not just him, but I think in any mainstream politician to deliver on the things that they say.
I said at the beginning of the programme, this, of course, is the last party conference before a series of very crucial elections next year. Wales, Scotland, local elections. I mean, this could determine an awful lot. There's a lot riding on this today.
Well, I think obviously the Labour Party and Keir is braced for the elections locally and nationally in Scotland and Wales to be bad next year. That is often the situation mid-term. It looks like they could be particularly bad, and that could be particularly perilous for his leadership. But again, the degree to which those elections can disrupt him, really no matter how bad they are, will depend on those two key factors. They've got to show that they get it and are making meaningful changes on immigration, and they've got to get the economy in the better position. I think if they could do those two, show results on those two things by next May, even if the public are not convinced, there would seem to be a point in carrying on and continuing with this course. At the moment, I think there has been too much of a sense of mixed messages from what him and key people have been saying, and simply that these deeply entrenched problems, which do take a long time to turn round, nevertheless aren't being seen to be improving, and the public are really out of patience.
Do you sense, in terms of Mr. Starmer's position, I mean, look, as you know, because you've worked at the highest end of the kind of political system, there's always speculation about who's going to take over? Can they survive? Can they go the distance, etc.? Wes Streeting gave a very interesting speech about an hour or two ago. There was a lot. He seemed to tick an awful lot of boxes, and even suggested that Angela Rayner should come back, which to me, I extrapolated from that this was Wes Streeting appeasing that bit of the party where perhaps no one else will. Do you think that's what he was doing, and was it wise to call for Angela Rayner to return?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put it past Wes to have those kind of thoughts, but he does recognise actually, and I would agree with him that Angela, aside from the current problems that she's had and the reason for her needing to resign, she can be a real asset to the Labour Party because she can speak to sections of the country with a level of authenticity that by no means every person coming into politics can, and I think if the name of the game next time is to be able to reconnect with many of our heartland voters who are just so thoroughly annoyed with mainstream politics as they see it and are seriously thinking about reform, then we're going to need all the help that we can get to that. And yes, I think actually Angela could be part of that mix come election time.
We'll watch with interest. Have you got a front seat for this one, John?
I won't be in the hall, though. It's probably best that I'm not, so I'm going to scurry away and find myself a TV screen right now.
Not a bad idea. And maybe a nice glass of red to go with it. Who knows? It would have to be red, exactly. Of course. Listen, John, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. Lord John Walney, former Labour MP, spokesman for Gordon Brown at Number 10.